Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Mike Williams and welcome to this video where I'm gonna explain how I made Day or Night. And it's actually a pretty funny story. I started this whole thing, I came up with the melody when I was in the car, and I actually made a voice note on my phone where I was singing the melody, and I found it back on my phone. So this is how it all started. I'll just play it for you guys. It's really awkward, but yeah, it's where it all started. So this is the voice note. Especially the last part is cool. Sounds so shit. So that's how I started the melody. I went to the studio to build the whole project. And I always start with the piano, because I think everything sounds, if it sounds good on a piano, if the melody really fits, then probably the track is going to be good. Of course, depending on the production, but we'll come to that later. So I started on the piano, writing out the melody. Pretty simple, but I think, yeah, I thought it worked. Then of course I had to come up with the chords, which really make it sound a bit better, because otherwise it's just really, yeah, the same every time. So then I came up with this. And that's basically the chords that I use in the whole track. So when I played it in and I put it in the project, we could start on the production. So here I have the project of Day or Night. It's a pretty big project, but I also clean it up a bit. So this is not the final version of the track that you know, Day or Night, because in the final version, in the second part of the drop, it also follows the chords, and in this version it stays on the same chord the whole time. But this version sounds way better. And I made some cuts when I made the master, so I think it's better to open this one. I started, of course, putting all the notes in the project, and I always separated in the melody, the top melody, which you can see here, in this part, and here are the chords, and then the bass line. So first I can show you the top melody. It's a couple of synthesizers together, and it sounds a bit like this. So as you can hear, it's 2 notes down. Then I played on the piano because I thought the bass line would sound better. Yeah, there are just some layers of synths. Individually they sound really shit, but at the end together it sounds really big, and there are just a couple of synths that are really important, like this, because it has the attack on it, which is always really important, or this one. This one has a lot of reverb on it, and that's of course important to make it a bit bigger. And together I put them on a bus, put some overdrive on it here, and I used the glue for compression, just a bit of compression. I cut out the low ends and some multi-compression just from Logic itself, the plugin. Yeah, then it sounds like this. Then we have the chords. Yeah, it sounds pretty basic, but together it fills everything up. Yeah. Also, I put a trumpet in it. which sounds pretty funny, but it really helps to give it a bit of, yeah, I don't know. It makes the track sound real and not that digital. So that's how I basically start with the melody and just working out the melody and the sounds. And then I start to work on everything else. So like the kicks, the drums, the FX. So at this point I already made a bit of the project, already built it out a bit, and I was looking for a really cool vocal for in the break. And I found this one. And I'll just remove all the effects so you can hear the original version. Little Alter Boy, which is a really good plugin, by the way. Yeah, so. Call up your body and call your name. Oh, breathe in the fire to feel the same. So as you can hear, it's way lower than the original or than the final version. I had to pitch it 6 or 5 up, which is quite difficult. But I think Little Alter Boy is a really good plugin for it because it keeps the formant on 0, but it pitches it up 5. But it still sounds quite good, as you can hear here. Call up your body and call your name. You can hear a bit of noise, but I think at the end no one really hears that. So yeah, I decided to put it on the track, add some chords on it, just a Silent One plugin, which has this sound. And I filled in the chords here. It just repeats every time. Then I added, I don't know what this is, just some effects. And then this one, which, yeah, it adds a bit of atmosphere. And then with the vocal on top, I thought it sounded pretty cool. Call up your body and call your name. Oh, breathe in. Also, I think a really good plugin is the Vocal Synth 2. And what it does, you can do a lot of things with it, but I just made a layer on the vocal to make it a bit cooler, some low frequency as well. I think it sounded quite cool, a bit digital as well. And also in the second part here. I'm wide awake outside. I'm in your blood and you're in mine. I've lost all my sense of time. Don't care if it's day or night. So it's a bit more aggressive than just only the vocal. And yeah, well, here we go to the first, yeah, pre-drop. And then we have the kick drum. I decided to just do like a sub kick because I think it really fitted on this track. I tried to give it a bit more bounce and a bit more future house, but also I wanted to have something in my set when I'm playing live that would have a bit more energy than future house. So here I have the kick drum. And it's actually a couple of layers. So it's this one, this is the main one. So I added a R bass to it, which adds a bit of low end to it, makes it a bit more aggressive. And equalizer, especially in this frequency, because it gives a bit more, yeah, it adds a bit more frequency. So, and then we have the top kick. Actually, Kirby made this kick. It's a really good one. And then together, I add a ride to it. Some Mike Williams claps. So that's the basics for the drop. So let's move on to the drop of the track. Here everything comes together. So we have the top synth, the top lead, the chords here. Actually sounds pretty shit on its own, but it really adds a bit of low mid frequency to the synth, so it's a bit more harmonic. And then together there's still a bass line here as well. This is actually a pretty cool plugin. It's called Avenger, and it really has some sick sounds, so you should get it. This is not an advertisement or something. So, and then we have the kick, of course, with the claps. So now it's just a matter of mixing it well. Make sure there's not too much reverb, because I really had troubles with the reverb here. And a really cool trick that I did in this track is cutting the volume of the top lead. So it gets really like massive, but it also cuts off the reverb of the top lead. And you can see it here. So you can hear the little breaks in the melody, but at the end I think it gives a lot of energy as well, because otherwise it would be this. If I just remove it for a bit. I mean, in my opinion, it would be a bit too much like a generic EDM song, so I really wanted to chop it up a bit and make it a bit more bouncy. So that's one trick you can do. I think I did the same to the chords. And then I added some effects in between to give it a bit extra dimension, like this. And I always try to download like these tonal effects, because then it gives a lot of atmosphere, and I mean, yeah, it just sounds cool. Then in the second part of the drop, I decided to also follow the chords. And I didn't do it in this project, but I can show how I did it. So the kick drum, I wanna change the notes, of course, so I put it in flex pitch, which is really easy on Logic. A really cool feature, because it keeps the same, I mean the sound of the kick stays the same. Because if you're gonna transpose it, the whole impact and the attack is gonna change as well, and you don't wanna do that. So here you can see I have the normal kick drum on the normal note, and here I can change the note, and as you can hear, if I play it, it still sounds like the same kick. But if you're gonna transpose it, so I'm gonna transpose it here. It sounds different. So this is a really cool feature you can use in Logic to change kick drums but still have the same sound. So let's start with the Q&A for 2 minutes. I'm gonna answer some questions that you guys asked me on Instagram. So let's go, 2 minutes. Constancia asking me how tall I am, and I'm 194, which has nothing to do with music, but it is a cool fact. Is it too late to start producing at 18 years old? Mike Williams, England, is asking that. It's definitely not too late. I started when I was 14 or 13, but there's still some really big producers and DJs who started way later than that. Do you have any tips for upcoming producers? Toby Hobie asking. I think it's just a matter of making a lot of music, a lot of different projects. Also, when you have a cool track and you really like it, you really like it, the artists are looking for new music as well, so send it to the artist. Next question. Oh, this is a good one. Kazyanova Natalia is asking this one. How do you choose your vocalist? Well, every project is different, so I think every project needs a different vocalist as well. If the vocal is cool, then I'm really happy. Maria Schreider is asking, what is your inspiration for new music? I think it's a good combination that touring and being in the studio, because on tour I'm really seeing a lot of people, I'm seeing a lot of different countries, a lot of different cities, and then I get my inspiration, and then when I go in the studio I can put it in a project or put it somewhere. So this is the last question. What is your favorite plugin? My favorite plugin, I think it's Nexus, and I know a lot of other producers hate Nexus. Yeah, it really has some cool sounds. Some sounds that you can't find in other plugins. And I'm always looking for the sounds that not all the other people are using. I bought the whole package once, which cost me a lot of money. It's worth it. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's gonna be a lot of more videos like this. So thank you guys so much. See you next time.